But I came back with more empathy, more trust, more compassion, and definitely more peaceful.
It does seem like after, when you have these breakthrough moments, it's so true what you just said, because your circle really does shrink.
Creating your best version of yourself is the best version for your family, for your community, and such. And we sometimes forget that, right?
Yeah. So a lot of growth to happen, 100%. Like I'm at the crawling stage of understanding some of this stuff and taking it all apart.
And you do all the things, I've checked all the boxes, and I'm still miserable. Like, is this it? And then we start realizing, wait a second, I get to define what my life looks like. Hi, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We're so glad that you've joined us again today. I am so pumped about today's episode. We have returning guests. I'm about to reintroduce them all to you, but they were with us back in September when we dropped a powerful episode called The Midlife Truth Bomb. And we talked in that episode about the wall that each of us hit that was kind of a wake-up call for us to kind of reinvent our lives. And guys, I don't think any of us were expecting this, but I remember each of you reaching out to me and saying, my social feed's blowing up, my phone is blowing up, people are texting me saying, I thank you for saying that, I feel the same way. And it just really resonated with a lot of people. But today, we want to touch base on those breakthrough moments, but what we really want to talk about is not the walls so much that we hit, but the way forward, the daily walk after the breakthrough. How do we keep healing? How do we keep growing? How do we keep showing up as the man that we want to be? And how do we resist some of those old scripts that are trying to creep back in on a daily basis? So welcome back to all of you. I am so excited that you're here. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Rob Dale. Good to have you here, brother. We have on my left, I have Paul Rushforth, former pro athlete, recovering addict, right? Superstar in the real estate world and very, very successful businessman who's going to be talking to us about a really unique experience he had in South America. Chris Dore, AI mastermind. And
he is AI.
He is AI. He's actually not real, folks. Chris, this is a program. This is AI. No, Chris is here, and Chris is a great friend and a great businessman and also a real advocate for men's mental health. So great to have you back, brother.
Awesome to be here. Love it.
Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. And another dear friend and a legend in the world of finance.
Legend.
Yeah, I like that. I
like it.
I worked on these introductions. Okay.
This is when AI is broken.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what happened to AI?
What happened to AI?
It's having a bad day.
It's glitching.
Yeah.
It's glitching. No, but a leader in the world of finance. You are a community champion. And you're the guy, I tell people, the guy most likely to give you the shirt off his back because you're all around just such a great champion of people. So welcome back. Great to have you on the show.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to kind of zero in on each of you. And we're going to start with Paul. Paul, you were in Costa Rica last year, and I have heard about this thing called ayahuasca. It's a medicine that is made from stuff you find in the jungle. Yep. And people go away for these like spiritual experiences that are quite mind-bending. And I remember when I saw your post that you were going, I was like, oh my God, I want to hear all about this. So tell us first about the experience and what it created for you. What did that generate for you?
It was powerful. It was absolutely powerful. And to be honest with you, I've wanted to do it for years. And it was probably because of what's his name? One of the hockey players who went through it. He suffered from concussions just like me. He was an addict just like me. I'm drawing a blank. Daniel Carcillo. He was on death's door and he spoke and he got healthy from it. And I was like, I have to do this. Problem being, I was a raging alcoholic. Right. And you have to be sober for 30 days. And I couldn't go sober for 30 days. So finally, when I got help for that and I became sober, I was able to go. Yeah. And I was looking forward to it. I was looking to, I had really three things that I wanted to discover. One was I've been an addict for years and I wanted to remove that compulsion to drink and drugs has been way long in the past, but I wanted to remove that compulsion. That was one of the things. Two, I'm never satisfied. I have to keep going and keep going. And I get where I get, and I need more, and I get where I get. And I was like, it's going to kill me.
Yeah. No one around this table can relate to that
but
one.
it's going to kill me. So I wanted to find out that. And the other one was I played pro hockey for years, and I suffer from concussions. My brain feels like it doesn't function well, and I wanted to see if it could heal my brain like it did Daniel Carcillo.
Yeah. So heal the addiction. You're looking for freedom from the addiction. You're looking for healing from the physical stuff, the mind stuff, the memory, everything else. And you're looking to get sort of set free from this constant need to drive and succeed. Yeah.
So I found out the drive portion was how I was raised, and I was always trying to impress my mom and get the gratitude from my mom. And so once I got there, I need to show her more. And listen, curse or treat. Like, I mean, I'm successful because of it, but it's also been a curse for me as well. So, I'm in the jungle in Costa Rica at a really nice place.
Yeah. What did you call it?
It's called I'm in the jungle, but 5-star jungle. But 4 nights you're drinking this medicine, and it's the most powerful thing ever.
What does it taste like?
Can I swear on the show?
Yeah, you can.
Shit.
That's what I've heard.
Like absolute shit. And it's so powerful. And I think my only thing is I'm 50% of my journey in the way that I let go, but I didn't quite let go enough, in the way that I still had that sense of I can't just let go. I'm alone in a jungle. I can't just go crazy one night on this powerful medicine. So I feel like I do have to go back and finish this journey. But I got some really powerful things from this. I got the compulsion where I saw the vision of how I was raised, which was beautiful. By the way, my parents.
So this is one of the experiences you literally had.
I had this vision of how I was raised and how my dad loved me compared to how my mom loved me, and then it showed me how I love my kids. And my dad was a little bit more nurturing, where my mom grew up in a really tough childhood, and so her love was different than my dad's. Both beautiful, but just different. And I found that I parent my kids like my mom parented me. And I have to look back at that because my mom parented me to be a champion, but also harder. So, and I think that's why I keep drive, because I want to impress my mom. So I realized all this, and I realized, how I can correct that and how I can deal with my kids differently.
I love that.
But two of the most powerful things for me were the addiction part. And, I was always someone where, the addiction doctor would say, you could never drink again. And the truth was I could never drink again, because I knew if I had one, I had 47, right? So, I don't know what it did, but it just drew out my compulsion to need that drink. And I've always said, I just want to be a social drinker. And I was like, you can't be a social drinker, Paul. You're an alcoholic.
Right.
Well, you know what? I don't know what happened or what came about, but I literally am a social drinker today. Like
you can enjoy a drink and it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't like drinking, but if I want to go have a glass of wine with my wife, I could go with my girlfriend, or I can go have a glass of wine, and it doesn't affect me. Yeah. But one of the most powerful things we did, you do yoga, you do breath work, which is the most powerful thing I've ever done is breath work. Meditation was beautiful. This resort was in a blue zone in Costa Rica, which was one of the healthiest zones in the world. There's only 5 of them in the world.
That's right.
Food, the air.
There's an entire series of shows. There's a documentary on Netflix about the blue zones. And we were actually in the same blue zone. You were about the same time last year.
Really?
Yeah.
But one of the most powerful things is I remember after night 1, you're supposed to purge. You're supposed to go to the bathroom and you're supposed to puke a lot. And I heard everyone puking and everyone going to the bathroom. I wasn't doing any of it. And I was like, so I was drinking more. And I was like, when is they come? But the beauty is when you do purge, you're literally purging your traumas and your demons. Wow. And I wasn't doing it after night 1. I was frustrated. And then night 2 came around and I started to purge. I started to vomit and get out some of my demons. After night 4, I remember I was doing breath work, and this is where I'd say my revelation came. I was doing breath work, and I remember talking to the counselor before this breath work, and I said to him, I never got anything on my concussions. Nothing happened with my concussions. I still don't remember. I don't remember from 16 to when I was born, and which really hurt my parents because they gave me a great childhood, but I couldn't remember any of it. And I really wanted to remember things, and I just wanted that cured. And I was doing this breath work, and if anyone's not done breath work, I recommend breath work. It's so powerful, and it's not just breathing; it's like changing your breath, and you literally hallucinate, like you have an out of body experience. And I had this out-of-body experience, and I remember being mad. And I was floating, and people might find this hokey pokey, but I'm telling you, this was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. Try not to get emotional, but
it's okay to get emotional in this show. Yeah.
But I was literally floating, and I was met by God, an angel, whatever you want to call it. I was met by it. To me, it was God. I'm not a religious person, but it was God to me. And I was like, I remember being mad. And I said, you know what? I'm mad. I didn't cure anything with my head. My concussions are still affecting me. Keep in mind, concussions affect your addiction, your everything, right? Like that, it affects a lot. And he said, my son, come take a look at you. And I remember hovering over myself on night one when I thought I got nothing out of this. And I looked down on myself, and there was like lightning and thunder and everything going through my head, and I had smoke coming out of my brain. And I was like, what is happening? I'm watching myself doing this. Yeah. And it's just, everything's coming out of my brain. I was worried for myself. I'm like, what's happening to me? What's happened to me? And I came back, and after the breath work was done, I was like, holy crap. The next day I was able to call my dad and remember half my childhood.
Wow.
It was so intense. It was so intense. And I never thought it was possible. So, now I'm able to be a social drinker. I feel like I've cured not cured my concussions, but I'm
tremendous progress.
Tremendous progress. Like I called my dad and I was like, Dad, I remember our old house. I remember, the vacations. I remember you taking me shoe shopping. I remember this. I remembered so much about my past. And I was like, holy crap. So
and these stories are actually quite common for folks who do ayahuasca and go there for the ceremony. Some folks report nothing much happens, and then others report these powerful spiritual experiences. And we were talking before the show. I said, listen, given our background, we used to be church leaders and involved in pretty crazy church, I'd call it. And there are spiritual experiences I had that weren't ayahuasca related, but I would describe them as visions, walking visions, things that were transformational. And obviously this was a powerful, we talk about breakthrough moments. That's kind of right? Like I've been 30 years an alcoholic, and now I don't even need to drink. I don't care to drink. That's cured. Yeah. My head's better. Amazing.
Anyone who hasn't done it, I strongly recommend. Scariest shit you'll ever do. Like the medicine is scary as hell.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, and I just said this. I need to go back.
Right.
Like I'm 50% of my journey. I know I have more in me because I know now what to expect, and I'll just let loose and let it happen.
I love that.
Yeah, let loose.
They talk a lot about an ayahuasca. Kate was watching a great documentary. I highly recommend this channel, by the way, streaming channel called Gaia. It streams all kinds of stuff that is, spiritual, about mindset and the inner work. And so we spend so much on things like Netflix and Disney. This is a great subscription. And they had this whole documentary, 6-part series following 12 people in the jungle of Costa Rica. I don't think they did 5-star though. 5-star jungle. I think there was more like 3-star at best. But they follow the participants throughout their week, and then they revisit them a year later. Yeah. And the important thing that keeps coming up is, and this is true not just of ayahuasca, I think it's true of any time we have a breakthrough moment. It's again, and that's the focus of the show today is, okay, but what does it look like now on Monday morning for you, right? And they use the word integration. How do you integrate the work into your daily practice? So I'm curious for you. I'm curious about your journey. It's been about a year now, right?
Last
February, so almost a year. It'll be a year by the time this episode airs. Yeah. What surprised you most after Costa Rica? You come back with these powerful changes, but you're still in Paul Rushforth's skin.
Yeah.
And what surprised you the most? What did you find the most difficult to integrate?
Well, I said this earlier. I got this experience, but I'm still tripping along the way.
Right.
I'm definitely tripping along the way because I still have a little bit of compulsion to do better and do more and this and that. But I came back with more empathy, more trust, more compassion, and definitely more peaceful. If you guys remember the last one, I talked about purpose, passion, and peace.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to live that way. I felt was a purpose. I've always had passion for things, but what I realized, I didn't have a purpose or passion. I just wanted to work and make money and be the best. Whereas now, my purpose is different. My purpose is giving back. My purpose is helping. My passion is doing that for people and helping people. And my peace is where I'm at peace. Like I've eliminated toxic people from my life. I don't let them take me down the rabbit hole. I'm a little.
I'm still a friend. I still consider. I'm still in the circle. I think.
Yeah, you're there.
Not one of those toxic people. Like,
No.
But I hope we can come back to that later. Like, I'd be interested to know how you did that. How did you kind of categorize toxic and not toxic, and how did I don't know if it's okay to jump into that right this second, but I just really I'm in that right now. By the way, like how do I?
Great question.
How do I do that?
How do I do that?
To be honest with you, it's anyone who doesn't move me forward and make me feel peaceful about myself is not worthy of being in my life. Truthfully, it's not worthy of being in my life. And I had some toxic people in my life, and I'm not mentioning names, but I had some toxic people in my life that, some people say, why don't you talk to that person anymore? I said, I got nothing against them. Great person. Love them. But I just don't want them in my life. I just don't want them bringing me down. I don't want them to change the way I feel about myself. I'm on a journey now. My journey is different than what it used to be. I mean, I still want to run a very successful real estate company. I still want to be the best in the world. But at the same time, I'm okay if I'm not. I'm okay if I'm not.
It does seem like after when you have these breakthrough moments, it's so true what you just said, because your circle really does shrink. I think all of us are people we're big into networking, about who you know, building those relationships. And as you start to grow and develop and see these experiences happening, you really do want to limit the people. You guys are going to laugh. Okay. I've become a Swiftie. And
What?
I really have.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That documentary is one of the documentary of the Eras Tour is one of the best, highly recommended. It's absolutely incredible. But when she was on the Kelsey Brothers,
We'll just edit that out of the post.
the notion of you only have so much energy to spend. Who are you investing your energy into? Yeah. And you're absolutely right. If you want that breakthrough to continue, you've got to limit the people who are draining that energy out of your life.
And one of the things too, just to answer your question, one of the things that really hit me like a ton of bricks is, I'm 51, and a lot of the people I played hockey with, they're dying. Like I'm seeing them on Facebook. They're dying. I'm seeing friends dying. And even if they're not friends or Facebook, you see people dying in their 60s now and their 70s now. And I'm like, okay, I'm 51. Yeah. Am I going to spend the next 10 years chasing that shiny dollar? Or I'm going to spend the next 10 years taking care of me.
I love that.
Right? And so, and before I used to say, I'm a selfish guy taking care of me. Now it's like, I'm selfish if I don't take care of me.
Yeah, I love that.
So
I'm curious, what does growth look like for you now in your daily life? Again, when we talk about the daily walk, you talked about, I still get tripped up. I mean, that's true for all of us, right? That we're still working on that better version of ourselves, best version of ourselves. What does growth look like for you on the daily?
You know what? It's funny. If you would ask me that 2 years ago, growth was like, okay, so I want to get to 750 sales. I want to, that's what growth looked like before. And I still have to focus on my business. That funds my life. But for me, my growth is, can I find more peace? Can I have more vacations, more experiences, just have more of an enriched life. And I used to find now for me, it used to be money buys happiness. Now it's money buys opportunity.
Yeah.
It buys opportunity. It allows me to give back, allows me to help people, allows me to do things like that. So I'll never stop making money because it allows me to help people. But for me, growth now is just like, how do I get better at loving myself?
Yeah.
How do I get better at being more comfortable in my skin? My skin used to be on fire. Now my skin is just beautiful. Like, it's just, that's how I see myself, as like a beautiful, and I last time we talked, I said I used to look in the mirror, I'd see a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Now I see a really nice, good person. That's who huge. I see now. That's what I see.
Yeah, it's massive. Massive, brother.
Oh.
Thank you for sharing your story.
My pleasure.
Man. It's so good. I think I was one of the ones that texted you right away.
Yeah.
When I saw your ayahuasca experience, I'm like, I want to check this out someday.
You had $700, right? Like, there's so many people who want to know about it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an openness now. People are fed up with their day-to-day, and they're tired of struggling with the same things, and we're looking for answers, right? Rick, you've been on quite a journey. We're going to shift the focus on you now. I remember a moment on the show of that episode that dropped in last September. I think we all got choked up, you included. You set us all off talking about just some of the challenges you were facing and how that was waking you up to stuff. Talk to us to whatever degree you're comfortable about what's the wall that you hit, and what's the walk look like for you these days?
It's good. Let's start with the thing that made me cry.
And we hope you cry again. You're a real man cry.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, and I'll jump back and I promise I'll answer the question, but also had a breathwork experience, and it was really transformational. It was really moving, and it didn't involve ayahuasca, and that I feel like that to me anyway. There's levels to this. That seems like that's the advanced course. I was on the beginner track, but a friend recommended this. It was an event. It was at the Brook Street Hotel close by, and had no clue what I was walking into. And it also was transformational. So I would also recommend that people explore it, look at it. There's different organizations in Ottawa or throughout the country that host events that do things that are very intimate and small. And this one friend, she does Kundalini activation, which is kind of, I would put that in between the two, or breathwork kind of does one activation of us, and then this energy work, I guess is best described, was kind of something else. So
we'll be doing some energy work in Costa Rica when we go back. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, she studied in Bali, and it was really, really interesting, but it was her recommendation to at least just go to this breathwork session and have an experience. Well, in that experience, it really did open up for me, and I haven't really talked about this yet, but the as you were speaking, Paul, it got me thinking like this. There's this moment. So I'm adopted. Biological mother was very, very young, and that breath work, when you kind of, I need science sometimes, right? So I'm like, okay, I think I hyperventilated to the point of seeing visions, right? Like if that's the science, who cares what the science is? But for me anyway, that was okay. So hyperventilated to the point of seeing this, but then I was accessing parts of my brain that probably without that hyperventilation, you can't access.
Right.
And starting to, if you can envision these doors, and there's a lot of doors that maybe I knew they were there, but until you get to that state, you can't open the doors.
Yeah.
I would think going to the other levels, you can actually get into those rooms and clean out the clutter, maybe with ayahuasca.
With ayahuasca, like people, again, we're not saying you should go do ayahuasca. No. You should pursue it if it's something that's of interest to you and you think it's going to be a useful tool in your journey. But literally civilizations for thousands of years, even ancient civilizations, using some form of drug-induced or plant-based induced state to help them access sort of things that are difficult to access normally, right? It's almost like the veil in those. We were talking about this before the show. Yeah. It's almost like in those situations, the veil between this world and whatever it is on the other side becomes very thin, or maybe it's the veil between what's actually locked up inside our minds and our spirits that is locked away and we can't access, and all of a sudden that veil becomes thin and we can cross over, right?
Well, and this is exactly what happened that evening, where I'm gonna get choked up again. So this is I have also great parents and had a good childhood. This isn't everybody else's or the common story of the childhood created the trauma that created the thing, and we can point directly at the childhood. Not necessarily in my case. However, it brought me to this vision. You saw, what you would consider God. I saw my biological mother holding me and I'm floating above the delivery room.
Wow.
And I'm seeing, and I got to say thank you. I got to actually say thank you. And this facilitator was excellent in post, had us actually turn and talk to somebody else in the room and share our experience. And I got to kind of now process it without the whatever state I was in, and be able to share with this person who didn't speak English, which was interesting enough. She only spoke Russian. So it was also like, for where I was at in this journey, it was perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah. So I didn't have to go to Costa Rica for this. I could have went to the Brook Street.
You could have done 5-star at the Brook Street.
Right.
Like I said, started the journey anyway, but it did allow, and that if you're going to ask similar questions to what you asked Paul, like where did this start? I don't think before hearing what Paul just said, I would have pointed to that's where it started for me, but that's exactly where it started for me.
Wow.
I got to say thank you and probably start to release, or the beginning stages of releasing, a lot of abandonment that has probably driven everything else. I'm coming to this realization like now, by the way, like this is not like I have notes. They don't
scratch.
But isn't that the power of creating space for, especially for men, to talk about their journey? Is that often it's not until you talk about it, you hear yourself say the words, and pennies start to drop. Yes, therapy is incredibly helpful. Spiritual experiences, ayahuasca, breath work, energy work, all these things are powerful aids in that journey. But the most basic form that all of us have access to is talking to someone, opening up about what we're going through. And because this happened to you on the first show.
Yeah, we're doing this a lot. Thanks for the therapy, guys. This is real time.
I'll send you the bill out.
But it's also interesting because, Rick, you asked the question a bit earlier about how do you decide who's the toxic people?
Yeah.
Who are the people that you move away from? And I think you answered it just in your response there is, I want to surround myself with men that I can have these conversations with.
Yeah.
Because you can't have them with just anyone. Now, I've got friends in my life or people that were in my life. If I brought up these kind of conversations, they'd be like, yeah, whatever. And now
that's hocus pocus garbage.
Let's talk about the football game.
They couldn't go to that emotional level. And so I think that's I seek out men who I can have these kind of conversations with because I know that's going to better me.
Safe space.
Safe space. Yeah. I love that.
That's somebody recently shared this analogy, which I like, and we love analogies on podcasts. And it was the living room conversations, the living room relationships, the front porch relationships, and the mailbox relationships. And starting to, for me anyway, the push was maybe start to think about your relationship specifically with your male friends, as to who you would quite literally invite into your living room to have a conversation, who you should probably have conversations with on the front porch, and who's really suited to have mailbox type conversations.
I love that.
And
that's
for
a great
me,
analogy.
I felt like if I didn't invite everyone into the living room all the fucking time, then they were going to abandon me, right?
Yeah.
And leave, and like, I don't have worth to this person if I don't get everybody in. You said up the top, take the shirt off my back for people. Well, my self-worth was tied to that. It was like, if I don't have everybody at this level of conversation, and the reality is not everyone's ready for this level of conversation. And in fact, trying to bring people there when they're not ready for it, or I'm not ready for it, or that's not the right dynamic, it just creates that, maybe that's the toxicity.
Yeah. Well, my story, which jarred your brain about and throwing your notes out.
Yeah.
I'm no psychologist, but tells me you have a little bit more work to do, maybe. Right?
Buddy, I had a lot of work.
Well, we all do. We all do.
This is real time as it gets.
But when I went in for this ayahuasca, they said, come in with your intentions, but I'll tell you what, the medicine's going to tell you what your intentions are.
Right.
Right.
The universe may have a different plan.
The universe might have a different plan for you. So that's something you may want to focus on. Yeah.
Well, in the last episode, we talked about getting in the mud and with other people, and the number of people that reached out. I also didn't realize the responsibility. I think you're also further ahead in the responsibility that having these conversations or putting yourself out there also means that it does become a two-way street. And there's some people really craving some living room level shit in their life and don't know where to find that, and it doesn't always have to be mud. It's just, maybe it's to share the joys and share the happy times, not always the negative or the down.
Yeah.
And Eric, the beauty, and Rob, the beauty of this show too is, like, after we aired episode 1, like, I laughed and I was like, holy crap, I shared a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
did you have I call it a vulnerability hangover?
Well, I did. And I was just like, who's going to want to with me now? And I'm like, I revealed a ton of stuff in this app, but you know how many people, like, I was at Shoppers and people would come up and hug me and say, thank you. They'd be crying on my shoulder. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I probably did about 3 shows after this just because people want to hear this shit. They want to know this shit. The way we used to be in these capes we put on, these masks we put on, people are just scared to take them off. And what we're doing here is we're taking off our fucking masks, and people love it.
Yeah.
Well, there's that authenticity that, that's like the most Googled word I've been told of 2024, I think, was authenticity. People are in the environment where we do have a lot of manufactured versions of ourselves, but also like truly manufactured versions of people that finding ourselves and then being able to present truly who we are. I think it's meaningful for other people who are in at different stages. Like for me, it was meaningful because the same thing happened in the last episode, right? You were sharing a bit, Paul and Chris, you're sharing a bit, and then I was like reflecting in real time, trying to not sound like a blubbering idiot while I'm sharing, like, these are the thoughts were in real time. This is just happening again now, right?
The dots are connecting.
The dots are connecting.
Yeah.
And it's like, abandonment, at least this meant that I wasn't being authentic, because if I was authentic, people might completely screw off.
Yeah,
They're not going to want to do business with me.
Yeah.
Who wants to do business with the guy that gets down on one knee and sings to Eric in a what should have been a corporate conference?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Can I jump in?
Yeah,
on that?
please do.
Like the thing I think is that why do we care? Like why does this
society does.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, just because society doesn't mean that we have to.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, I wonder, it's the ability to care about what's important and align values. It comes down to that. Because otherwise, I think one of the superpowers that if I could wish upon my kids or anybody here is the ability to not care about the things that are not that important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a million people could see this podcast, right? Should we care?
Wish.
Should we care? Should we care? Eric care? There's obviously an incentive there for caring there, but should we really care what other people think that much? Because I think that's the problem. I think that's what happens when men.
Your apps? Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping in.
No, go ahead, please.
He's just interrupting you mid-sentence.
Yes,
He's
they should
so
care.
he's
They
so
should all
eager.
watch.
Well, this is
Everyone should
discussion.
watch.
So
And it's some of the reflection work I'm doing right now is exactly that question. And I think the reason we care is because if we don't do the inner work, to figure out that initial wound, that initial whatever shaming moment, and this is what we see in society. I think every one of us around this table have been guilty of this. Is we chase the reputation, we chase what other people think of us or how we're going to. That stems back to it.
We're brainwashed.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty much.
we are, but I'd love to say to my kids, hey, don't care about what other people think. It won't resonate. What I will say to them instead is, let's pursue where this care first started and figure that out. If you can figure out those initial wounds, you'll get to a point where you stop caring.
But I also think there's a self-confidence aspect to that, right? Like, so 100% agree with you that figuring out who you are and I'm of the mindset that no matter how you're raised, there's probably, I don't want to call it trauma per se, but there is issues that I think everybody who's been raised by anybody, even the most perfect parents, which there doesn't exist, you still there. Yeah, like no matter what you do.
Have you heard this one? They say that like you should, as a parent, you should save up for your kid two funds, one for your kid's education and one for their therapy.
Yeah,
because you're gonna fuck them up one way or another.
Yeah.
Like you'll do your best, but you're hopefully gonna if you're doing the work, you're passing on more good than bad from your own childhood, but you're still passing on. It's a mixed equation, right?
I believe that what we're doing here helps more than anything you could possibly do, because you're right. Like, you get to have 1 million people listen to this and might resonate with 3 or 4 people, but we've helped 3 or 4 people. But truthfully, I'm here for 2 reasons. One is selfishly, this makes me feel good giving back. This brings me, I talk about that purpose and passion and peace. Like, this is part of my purpose and part of my passion. And it's making me feel good by, one, letting it out, talking to people, telling my story, hopefully helping someone. But at the same time, like, this is powerful, and this is what the world needs right now that it doesn't have, right?
Yeah.
It's all superficial. It's all superficial, which is a problem.
Rick, I have a question for you. Like, I'm just curious because I know that you've already kind of talked about going through certain things, and I'm curious about, like, for you, what's the motivation? Like, what motivates you? And I think sometimes I wonder if that motivation is your motivation or somebody else's motivation.
Good question.
Because I think, and I'm not just saying it's you, I think
100%.
all of us at this table have we've probably spent the majority of our lives motivated or trying to, when Paul said, I think you're talking about your mother and how, you just wanted to be seen and get her approval, right? So I'm just curious, like, back to you in regards to, like, what's your what has been your motivation and what is your motivation now?
He's just throwing you a softball there, by the way.
Sorry, yeah.
That's a hard one. That's a good one though. That's a beauty.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
And remember, there's a million people listening.
Yeah. And you can't say, Chris, your turn, because I'll be I just asked the question too.
Paul.
Yeah. Well, I know my answer. You do yours.
I think all of you guys are pros too, giving me
it's
time
usually
to think about this.
Usually the answer is, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. Yeah. Well, you kind of, I think you actually helped me answer it in the way that you phrased it, which was my motivators were very societal, very, pre-40 had, I think in the driveway at one time, a BMW, an Audi, a pickup truck, a classic car, had a boat, cottage, had home, had like all these motivators, or what I thought was motivators, all this stuff, title, sitting on the boards, on the things seen as, but I...
And DJ extraordinaire, you forgot that part.
It's a past life.
Oh, past life. Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out in post.
Yeah, thanks. But not happy.
Yes.
And really not happy. And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because you start to get to a point where it's like, I've got all of the motivators, or what I thought was a motivator, that I'm going to tick this box this year. Oh, hey, I got the goals. I'm going to reward myself. All this stuff, the societal things. And all of a sudden it was actually before that, breathwork and the rest, is kind of taking inventory and going, shit, okay, I've tied my entire self-worth. We talked about this a little bit last time. I tied my whole self-worth to stuff that could be taken away.
Yeah.
To things, to ego-driven things. And I think we're almost at an epidemic level. That word gets used too much, but we're at an epidemic level probably because of social media and sharing and, the optics. And then we're if society, at a volume button, it's at 11 out of 10 when it comes to showing off my stuff and like really cranking up all of it. So my motivators were definitely misaligned. They were tied to...
And it sounds like you're living for everybody else. Whereas now,
100%.
once you've realized your trauma, you're going to start living for you.
And this is exactly where I'm at right now. So you're right before you're saying like, still a lot of growth to happen. 100%. Like I'm at the crawling stage of understanding some of this stuff and taking it all apart.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
realizing it's not selfish either.
No, 100%.
That's the biggest thing. It's selfish if you don't do that.
Yeah.
That's been the hardest thing.
You're not
I've been
alone.
at this long
there's
enough.
So many, like, I know like we all think we want to be special, right? Like that my circumstance is special, but what you're describing in many ways is, I think every person to a certain degree, especially men in regards to the men that are our age, because we're driven by I guess parents that really sometimes had a harder time showing emotion and feelings, because that was their generation, and I think it's very common. And now we are actually at the point where we tried to do everything, and then we realized, oh, no matter what we did, it wasn't going to be enough. And then we started filling it up with material items, because like, look at us now, money, cars, whatever. And then we realized then again, not enough. And so I think there's a big transition that's happening. And to Eric's the Eric's work, what you're doing, and just bring people together is that conversation. And I think there's a big movement of men that feel the same way, that are like questioning again, like, what we were taught earlier isn't who we are as really as individuals, and that authenticity piece. So we kind of have to unlearn and reconstruct ourselves to figure out who we actually are, because we get like, are we in agreement on that, or
100%?
Scary, but it's true.
Yeah. You got to. It's part of it is a big part of the work is letting go of all the baggage, letting go of the old definitions of success, letting go of some relationships that have defined us, but in the wrong way. It's letting go of the shoulds, musts, and have tos, the expectations that other people put on us. And I appreciate your humility around, I'm at the crawling stage. I've been doing this a very long time. You're not crawling, brother. You're definitely walking. You're on the path, and you're on a really good one.
I'm like you walking like a 2-year-old.
But you're walking.
But you're walking.
It's just how I walk.
I know.
There's some physical.
Rob, this was be a nice moment.
Easy. I was trying to be nice to him, and you come in like the hammer.
It's good. It's a walker, really.
It's a rocker. Well, you're still walking.
Yeah,
Just walking.
that's true.
I'm curious, and then I want to shift over to Chris and hear more about your story, Chris. But and not last question for you, but this question: what does growth look like for you these days?
Well, in the last 5 minutes, it's
You didn't know till now.
It's shit. I think so. Okay, some realities. Cannot rewire my brain instantly. I'd love to. Been able to do a lot of things in my life, like snap the fingers and we're going to go, because of that's just how I've operated since I was a kid. This one doesn't work that way. That's a bit of a wake up call. Like, okay, you talked about knocking it down, and okay, it's the pieces are there. I'm here with a wheelbarrow right now, and I'm sifting through the bricks to take some of the best bricks and get them in the wheelbarrow. I don't know where I'm going with the wheelbarrow necessarily. Like, I'm hoping I could find a nice plot of land and start to build with the best bricks that have been knocked over. And I know I've got some good bricks. There's some shitty bricks that I need to leave behind. Yeah. There's some broken ones, and those bricks are, and it would be great in the future to also find other people as they're building, that we've got this community with the best bricks. We're not going to only take our best bricks. That's impossible. But so this is as I'm moving forward, I'm going, okay, let me make sure if I'm bringing a brick with me for the future foundation, that it is the best one that I can find in the pile. Yeah. But I'm at the stage, it sounds like, others at this table have started constructing and have built a couple levels with the best bricks. And so that's also motivating, is to say, like use the examples of the people that have come ahead or a few stages ahead, and try to lean on that a little bit, listen. But that's where I'm at right now. It's listening and just building slowly.
Love that.
It's so encouraging. Yeah. It's so encouraging to hear that. And I think for a lot of people listening are going to be encouraged by that, because you're right. We want the easy button. And we were joking there about walking, crawling. It is when you go.
The walker analogy was the best.
That was the best. But when you go from focusing on the external to the internal, it is like learning to walk all over again. Mm-hmm. And just like it takes years to master walking, some of us never do, but it takes years to master walking. It's going to take time to master this new way of seeing life and experience and doing that. And I love that you're talking. I love how you put that. And it's going to be an encouragement to some people saying, how come I can't just fix this? I had a breakthrough. How come everything's not solved?
I would love to maybe pose this question maybe later, or maybe this is another podcast. It's about how do you do the work? Because I think we have probably 4 or 5 episodes that we've done on this. No, it's a great, powerful question. I'd love to hear, and we're about to shift to you. I'd love to hear how you're doing the work.
There's one with Matthew, I think, right?
There's one with Matthew. Really there's one with Sherry, a couple with Sherry, which is our coach.
And we're going to be recording today as part of our package is one on when it starts to drip.
Exactly. And we also had one with Jim Harrington, a couple of episodes with Jim Harrington, my mentor. Lots of great resources there. But that's a powerful question to ask, because a lot of folks, they hear the work, they go, what does that look like? Yeah, what does that look like? And the short answer is it looks different for everyone. Yeah. But there are some common elements that you'll find in most stories. It often starts with deconstruction before it starts with 100%. Building the new self, right? Thank you, Rick, for sharing your story. Yeah. And I love that even these conversations are sparking new connections for you and new growth.
Skip the ayahuasca, bud. You're good. You're good. You got it now.
Oh, I think we should do like an ayahuasca.
I'm in. We're doing
yes, we should.
Yeah. Or we can do a podcast with everybody on ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Like where all of us are like,
you don't see that. Yeah.
Buckets of puking. And
Chris, we're going to zero in on you for this next segment. I really appreciated getting to know you. You're a real quality guy. And you've talked about, and you're, like I said at the beginning of the show, a real champion for men's mental health. You've talked openly about your journey, how therapy's been so helpful in your growth. Talk to us a little bit about the wall. That was a big awakening for you, and what growth looks like for you now on Monday morning.
Okay. So back to, I guess, the wall. I think everybody kind of goes through at some point, like you call it that midlife crisis, right? For me, it was the loss of a relationship that really it was probably in my late 30s, where it was basically everything didn't feel right. I was acting out selfishly, but not in a good way, but in probably what I would consider a harmful way. And so it was really like
asshole selfish.
That's right. Like guaranteed. Yeah. Yes. And I was that. And the problem is I thought I was a nice guy. Right. Even though I was doing things that was probably not, when I look back now, I'm like, yeah, definitely asshole like. But I was like, that wasn't the person I wanted to be or who I was. Right. And so for me, it was like that 37. And, I always had that, therapy, therapy, or was, that stigma was, therapy is only for those people that have big problems, right? And that was just foolish thinking on my part. I basically at 37, started doing therapy on a regular basis, and I continue to do therapy because it's one of those things where it's like we all go to the gym, we know the gym is good, and there's no stigma behind going to the gym, but going to therapy is just basically the gym for the mind. And I was
it's exactly. I was about to jump in and say our coach Sherry Kane, who happens to be the mindset coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, by the way, she works with professional ball players. Really smart lady. She's been part of our story, my story, since 2016, and I see her once a month still to this day. And she calls it that this is mind gym. This is where you go do the reps for your inner life, because your inner life determines the quality of your outer life, right? So I love that you use the same language.
And at 37, the work continues, right? Like it doesn't, like as I get older, does it become easier? Not necessarily. It just it's different. And when I consider the work, the things that I do is I do things that I spend a lot of time figuring out what I want to do with my life and my values and what my alignment is. And I think for me, the key is being aligned with my values because it makes everything else super easy. Like decisions are easier. I used to drink because it was a social thing and I never liked the taste of alcohol. So I got to the point where like, I just stopped and I didn't have a drinking problem. I just decided that's not me. I didn't do it. I did it because I was mostly doing it for social reasons. So I quit. And it's funny because when you do, people always like think that they jump to conclusions, right? Oh, you had problems, and I'm like, no.
Well, we were talking about society's expectations, right?
And once again,
living again, we call it the shoulds, the musts, and the have tos. We feel this pressure to show up a certain way, and I think we spend most of our younger years, like probably our 30s into mid 30s, almost into our 40s, trying to live up to that. That's what we heard in your story. It's what we heard in your story. Certainly our story as well, and yours. And you do all the things. I've checked all the boxes, and I'm still miserable. Like this, is this it? And then we start realizing, wait a second, I get to define what my life looks like. And when we choose a path that's not the normal path or the path that society would say, well, this is what's acceptable, you do get some pushback. And I think that's why a lot of folks don't live an authentic life, is because they want to belong.
Right?
When you have that feeling, when it's like, I do get to live the life I want, that's where the power starts.
100%.
That's where it's like, oh my God, it can be about me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that awareness of that time is precious, right? Like we're all dying. One of my favorite expressions is memento mori, which basically, if you're not familiar, it's basically when a Roman general would complete a battle and win, there was always somebody behind him yelling, "Remember death," because that's what it means in Latin. Memento mori.
As they were parading through the streets of Rome, celebrating the general, the guy holding the what do you call it? The laurels or the little crown over his head was whispering in his ear.
Yeah,
and die someday.
And I think it's so important. Like now, aside of all the discussions that we've had today, is just remembering that I'm not super spiritual. Like I believe I don't know what's going to happen when we die.
Well, you're AI, so you don't even have a soul.
That's right. Ouch.
No, he's not even here. This is
this
AI.
hologram.
Yeah, this program.
But it's really that realization. I think it's really important for us to, because people forget that we're dying right now, right? Like, and so my thought about this is like, you got to take advantage. Like, you got to, like, why be miserable? Like, so I actually gear myself to self-improvement. So getting to know myself, because once you know yourself, you can become your best self. Right. And so that's my mission. Like, and it's
how do you do that? How do you do that?
Well, I think therapy is one of the key, because that you bring out all the issues, all the discussions, and you're in a safe space where you can talk about anything. Right. And so that's, I think that's important. And then I always tell, and I'm also a professor where I tell my students, take a day off. Go to a coffee shop. Don't bring any technology, and just think about your life. Think, like, just basically think.
Love that.
And the values, and think about what you want, right? And what success is on your own definition. Students, they have a hard time because they're still living their parents' definition of success, right? So I try to get them out of that. You got to start thinking about what your definition of success is.
Yeah.
And then once you know that, you then can nail it. Like, because then you just move towards it. Like, I don't
think you ever know your definition of success until you really get to know yourself.
100%.
Yeah. And until then, it changes all the time. Like I talked about, my used to be money and being the best and all this. Yeah. Now I couldn't give a shit about that stuff. I just want to be at peace and happy and
Yeah, getting clear. We call it in the Living Richly language, or in the Foundry Nation, we'll talk about it's getting clear on who you are and what you stand for. Right. That's
and that's powerful.
Right. And then building a life, that's authenticity. Once I know that, and that's to your point, like, awareness is increasing all the time. So my vision of who I want to be and how I want to show up will likely be, my goal is that 12 months from now, I've got even greater clarity on that and greater alignment. I don't think you ever reach a point where it's crystal clear, but it's a vision that pulls you in a certain direction. Right. Mm-hmm. I love, again, you've always struck me as someone who is very self-aware and is working on building that vision of who you are.
Yeah, I think that's what most people's life work should be, right? Because creating your best version of yourself is the best version for your family, for your community, and such. And we sometimes forget that, right?
Yeah. Love that.
I think the other thing that for me, a major thing was having children, right? Like, to me, like, it's that cliche. It's game changing. It makes you a better person. Gives you, if you struggled with purpose, that gives you a definite purpose, right? Now, so there's a lot of things there, like, but for me, realization of that life is moving along. I try to gear things to self-improvement, but also just fun. Yeah. Like, why not just have fun? We're only here once, maybe.
To make the most of, make the most of what you have.
Yeah, have fun.
Would you agree, Chris, that kids can become maybe one of the best scoreboards that we have? Right.
They're the best teachers, for sure.
Maybe the best teacher. For me, it's these joys, these simple joys that now I can see vicariously through my kids. And I'm like, oh, I can keep tally with that.
They keep you young. Like I
don't know about that.
They keep you humble.
I don't keep them young.
Jet black hair,
They keep you humble.
Well, that's
that's for sure.
I am so, like, my daughter constantly calls me cringe, and she constantly says, like, insults me in many ways, and I'm like, that's great, but it's the thing that it teaches me first patient, and teaches me that I will love this person no matter what, right? And allow that person to be whoever they want to be. Now, but back to kids, like, they not only do they keep you young, but they challenge you, right? So
I love that. But thank you so much. Listen, next few questions are gonna be lightning round, so I'm gonna give them to you lightning fast, and I just want, like, get right to it, because we're gonna need to land the plane. This is, like, I feel we could go on all day. This is right, and we'll definitely have to have you guys back. But the first lightning round question, I'm gonna start with you, Rick, is how do you know when you're winning now?
Well, I just talked about those small joys. And for me, that's the biggest indicator. So it's now slowing down enough to be making brownies in the kitchen with my daughter, or gingerbread house with both kids, or there's a lot of food related stuff.
Can you tell the holidays weren't that far behind us?
Or singing in the car, let's say, with both kids. We do carpool karaoke, the three of us, and so those small joys for me, that's really how I know that I'm winning. now, because I couldn't see those before, which is there's a sadness in that. I was always into the next thing, or we gotta move forward. And if we're making brownies, are we making them perfect? Because somebody might not like this brownie. So cutting all that shit out, which is a symptom of bigger things. Another episode. Yeah. In lightning mode, it's really slowing down to recognize those small joys. Gives me the score.
Love it. What about you, Chris? How do you know when you're winning now?
Once again, it's that alignment with values, and I get, like, I do what I want when I want, and I show up. I'm winning when my kids are like, when my family, like my wife and my children, feel loved and they're safe and secure. That's winning to me. That's success. Like that. I'm, and I'm good. Like, I get to do what I want. I align myself. Like, there's nothing in my, like, knock on wood. I'm just very fortunate to be in a place where all my past experiences and the work I've done has led me to being okay with whatever happens. And I'm 100% okay with what's going to happen in the future. I'm okay with what's happening now. So living in the present, I guess, would probably be how I know.
Yeah.
Like when I'm not thinking about the past, and when I'm not too far in the future, it's when I'm focused on the here and now.
Yeah.
I think that's when I feel the most. Like,
I love that. Being fully in the moment.
That's right. Like right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Love it. Paul?
For me, it's inner peace. It's clarity. It's feeling comfortable in my skin. And it's for realizing that I'm allowed to care for myself and not feel selfish.
Yeah.
Is my best thing. It's
Yeah.
just inner peace, clarity, and just feeling good in my skin that I'm allowed to think about myself and take care about myself.
Yeah. What a great place to land the episode. Gentlemen, this has been such a powerful conversation. Again, I wish we had more time. We're just going to have you back and continue the conversation, maybe in a few months' time. Let a little bit more growth continue to happen for all of us, so we can check in at that time. But if you're listening to this and you're thinking, maybe I'm not at rock bottom, but I'm not okay either, then this is exactly the kind of conversation that you need to be a part of. And we invite you to continue to be part of that conversation. My word to you is, you're not broken. You're not weird. You're not odd. You're just on a path. And if there's any sense of discontent that you're sensing, or discomfort with your life, lean into that. The journey sometimes can be a bit jarring, but it's when we pay attention to that and start taking steps to carve out our own reality, that's when we start to really, really live.
This is what the Living Richly Nation is all about. And we encourage you to check out livingrichly.me. It's a great place to find all kinds of resources. And I just want to circle back real quickly on the notion of community. We talked about it for men who are just hungry to find a place where they can connect with other men. Eric created this incredible group of a gathering of men called The Foundry, and you can check that out as well. We're going to have the website on the video and in the show notes so that you can find all of that stuff. We want to thank Rhapsody, our sponsor.
Yep.
If you're a business owner, whether you're a male or a female business owner, and you're saying, I'm feeling the weight of what I'm carrying with my business, there's all kinds of resources and tools that we have, as well as support people at rhapsodystrategies.com. So make sure to check that out as well.
If you like this episode, then make sure to like it and share it out. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future ones. And do some other guy a favor and send it to him. Someone at least a couple guys in your network that could benefit from this show. Make sure to send it their way. Listen, as we close, you don't have to blow up your life to live your best life. You just have to stop pretending. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time. Until then, get out there and live your best life.